Hello everyone and welcome to the Age Group Triathlon podcast, where this week I have a very special guest joining me, Verity Miles from British Triathlon, who is the head of the GB Age Group team at British Triathlon. Now in this week's episode we're going to have a look at how to qualify for the Age Group team, the costs involved, as well as a few tips on how to save money, what the experience at the championship events look like. So I'm hoping that if you have considered, or even if you haven't considered, training to qualify for the GB age group team, this episode is going to give you an insight into why you probably stand a better chance than you think, as well as understanding some of the logistics involved. Now, this episode is primarily aimed at my listeners in England, Scotland, and Wales who fall under British Triathlon. If you are under another national governing body, do have a look at their website, see what the qualification process looks like. I know that in some national governing bodies for certain events, you can just put your hand up and say, you know what, I'd like to go, and you can get your race suit and everything sent straight to you. However, I do believe that the British age group team is one of the harder teams to make, so I'm hoping that the information in this podcast will really help those who are looking to go and represent Great Britain on the world circuit. So hello Verity and welcome to the Age Group Triathlon podcast. How are you doing this morning?
Yes, very good, thanks. And thanks for having me on. Really appreciate the
That's all right.
opportunity.
No, I figured that as we are the Age Group Triathlon podcast, it'd be good to have somebody come on from the GB Age Group team to have a discussion. Now, for those who may be sort of a little bit confused as to the difference, obviously age group racing refers to pretty much everything that isn't professional racing. So that is where you are split up into age groups, normally in 5-year denominations. And from there, you are then racing against people who are a similar age to you. However, what we're going to be talking about today is the age group team. So if you can just give us a bit of an insight into what the age group team is, please.
Yeah. So anyone in the UK who is legally resident in the UK or British citizen and is a member of British Triathlon with a core or ultimate membership can apply to be in the age group team.
Mhm.
The team covers a wide range of different types of racing, from sprint triathlon to long distance, from aquathlon to cross triathlon. Um, Team members range in age from 15 right up to, I think our oldest member is 87.
Oh,
Um, and you have to go through a qualifying process for each time you want to be in a World or European Championship race. But it's open to anyone to apply. You just have to meet the criteria.
yeah. I think a lot of people they'll see the um they'll see people at races that will be in Great Britain kit. And they'll think, oh, I'm guessing that's a professional athlete. That might be the next Georgia Taylor Brown or Johnny Brownlee, and they think that but it's not always the case at all. And it is, I'm not wanting to take away from their efforts at all, but a lot of them are just what most people consider to be normal people, with a job, a family, but they just take their racing really seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Age group racing kind of picks up all those youngsters that haven't maybe quite got to program level.
Mm,
But it also gives somebody an opportunity to be super competitive and race against other people in their age group from around the world or in Europe. And there's no other sport in the UK that I know of that does that um, on the scale that we do, because
mm,
we do have quite a large team.
yeah. How many people do you know off the top of your head, roughly how many people on the team last year?
Yeah, so in 2024 we had 3,200 people that competed abroad. And
3,200. Wow.
yeah, the team size it did spike before COVID in 2018 when we had the European Championships in Glasgow. I think we had
Mm,
3,800. And then because of COVID, it went right down. It
yeah.
picked up, 2023 was our highest number with 3,600. And then it's dropping back down again. But there's a lot of factors in play at that. So it depends where the races are. We had a race in Australia last year. We've got another race in
Mm,
Australia this year. So economically, people can't really get to that.
yeah.
Um, and it also depends on the times of the races. Are they within school holidays? Is it easy for families to go and make more than just a race out of it?
Yeah. So it's very much the team size is based on the logistics of people getting to the championship event they're looking to qualify for, as much as it is their ability, their athleticism, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a percentage to meet. So from 2026, you have to meet a percentage of finishing within 120% of the winner of your age group.
Hmm.
And that is just to ensure that you're competitive enough to be safe in the race and have a great experience. If you're so far off the back, you're not going to feel comfortable. You
Yeah.
might feel embarrassed. And, sometimes people are far off the back because they've had an injury they're coming back from and they're just happy to participate. But
Mm.
in general, the program exists to facilitate people representing Great Britain. And you want to be comfortable doing that. And you want to be able to have a race with someone, even if it's like me, right at the back of your age group.
No, that's a good point. So I've got some, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions, but I wanted to sort of take advantage of having you sort of here live on the podcast to go through it in a slightly more sort of organic manner. Now, we had a phone call a few days ago where we just had a little bit of a chat ahead of the podcast. And when I sort of mentioned that, personally, I haven't sort of raced on the team myself, you were kind of, oh, that's a bit of a shame, not saying pity, but it was a kind of like surprised. So I sort of went away from that. And what I didn't realize following the conversation with you, well, prior to the conversation with you, is sort of the different ways that people could qualify. Because the way, sort of what I'd looked at in the past is I'd gone, right, the sprint distance is what I'm best at. So let me have a look at qualifying for the sprint distance. Oh, there's a race at Eton Dorney, which is about an hour away from me. So I looked at the results from Eton Dorney, and the swim was about 11:30. The bike, it's draft legal, so it is never too representative. But the run was sort of low 17 minutes, which just made me think, yeah, I'm not at that standard. However, you made sort of the point that it's often that there are other races out there, and the sort of the further you get from the home counties, in some respects, it can be easier to get in. So, given that my strongest disciplines, actually, no, let's stick with triathlon. Given my position that I'm in right now, where I mean, I did a race a few years ago, and my swim was 13 minutes, and my run was sort of 19 something. So, not super strong, but equally, I'm not right at the back by any means. Sort of, what would be your recommendations for someone like myself if I wanted to get on that team? What options are available to me, and what advice would you have?
That's a great question. And I'm very often asked the question of how fast do I need to be?
Mm,
And it's not necessarily that you need to, it depends where your comfort zone is. So if you're comfortable battling for the win at the front of the race, fantastic. If you're a mid-pack person, you've probably got a chance of still getting in. So with the qualifying, um, there are four places from each qualifying race, and that's sprint and standard distance races. So triathlon, duathlon, aquabike. And if the winner of your age group was to finish a sprint distance triathlon in 1 hour, you'd have
mm,
to finish within 120% of their time, which is 1 hour, 12 minutes.
yep.
And I think that's pretty doable for quite a lot of chaps in your age group, probably
Mm,
you and yourself. So what happens is the first four people in that age group, they're given a qualifying slot
mm,
and then go through all the qualifying races. And then the next places are rolled down to the next fastest people.
yep.
So we do get through a lot of people. Um, if you're one of the fastest people, then you could probably go to any qualifying race and try and qualify.
Yep.
If not, you want to be looking at races that are maybe a little bit further away from the bulk of the population in the UK. So we have qualifying races in Wales and Scotland as well, and
Yep.
in the north of England. So if there's a qualifying race in Scotland, and there will be a lot of Scottish athletes there trying to qualify. There'll be a lot of athletes from the north of England trying to qualify, but you're not going to get the the bulk of the population from London,
Yeah.
home counties, the Midlands, they're more unlikely to travel.
Yeah.
And that is kind of it's kind of common sense, but I don't think people realize until you say it to
Mm.
them. Why don't you look at a race that's a bit further afield? Because less
Yeah.
people might be willing to travel that far, and that
Yeah.
that could really help you get into the team. Because the really competitive people might want to race in the south, or that there could be a race in East Anglia, and all right, the people from the Midlands might go, but the people right in the south won't go. The people from the north might not want to go. So it,
Mm.
it really depends on um, where things are. The other thing you can look at doing is if the championships is close to a qualifying race, there might be less of the faster people there. So
Mm.
then that might bring the level of the field down slightly, and you
Yeah.
can have more of a chance of qualifying or having a higher percentage from a roll down slot.
Yeah. So that's you're referring to it's like the Triathlon England Championships that they have, where, you get a lot of people who will look to become the age group champion for the year.
That's kind of a different kettle of fish, really.
But those are the events you're asking people to avoid. So avoid, sorry, I've got my time myself up in knots here. So when you're referring to the championship races,
Yeah.
which races specifically are you referring to?
Okay, so when I'm referring to championships, it's world and European
Oh, I see. Okay.
championships.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear. There are English national championships and there are
Yeah.
British national championships, as long as Welsh and Scottish national champs. If you do attend the British Championships and you're really fast, you do really well, and you win your age group, you can actually get a slot for the same race at World and European Championships the following year.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. That
It's
makes sense.
also quite a good marker of where you are within the field because most of the fastest people will attend that. So
Yes.
it's not something to knock your confidence if you don't do as well as you think. It's just all the really fast people are there. So if you're like me, I'm aiming for the aquabike British and English Championships at Birdie House on the 11th of May.
Yeah.
It's not a plug, that's just when it is. Um, I know that I'm not probably not going to win, but it'd be a really good chance for me to see where I am
Yeah.
against a really, really competitive field.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And so you have sort of obviously I did a little bit of research this morning before we started recording, and I saw that there are three qualifying races for sprint triathlon, just doing a little bit of case study on myself. There's one right in the north, there's one in Wales on Barry Island, I think, and there's Eton Dorney. Now there are some events, however, where I think it's only the standard distance and the sprint distance triathlons where they are qualifying events where you turn up and you race and your finishing position within that race dictates your ability to qualify, and that for other disciplines you need to submit a time, I believe.
Yeah, almost. So it's sprint and standard distance, triathlon and duathlon,
Ah,
and
yes. Yeah.
standard distance aquabike. But anything else, so for those races, you would need to register your intent to qualify, so we know who to pick out of the results. Then go and do the qualifying race. If you finish in the top four, you'll be given a qualifying slot. Um, if you finish outside, you'll be given a roll down percentage. But for anything else, so middle long distance triathlon and duathlon, there is a long distance duathlon world championships,
Hmm.
unbelievably. I don't, who would be insane enough to do that? I don't know, but those just amazing from that team.
It's a hard day
Um,
on the legs.
it really is, yeah, yeah. I really respect those guys. Well, everyone. Yeah, I'm a bit blown away by that team. You can probably tell. There's aquathlon if you don't like cycling, so you can swim
Yep.
and run. There's middle and long distance aquabike. There's cross triathlon and duathlon, which is probably the next biggest thing, I think. More people want to ride off road.
Yep.
You do need to have a mountain bike or a gravel bike, but it does give you the option to not have to ride within traffic, and there's more skills in it.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's also winter races on
Mm.
snow with snow tires and skis. So there's a massive variety of races. So for that, you'd look at the web page where you want to qualify, read the criteria you need to meet, go and do your race and submit your race result.
Yep. And does that come back? So if somebody wanted to have a ballpark idea of the kind of time that they needed to that they wanted to get, what would be, as in if I wanted to qualify for sprint distance aquathlon, how would I get a ballpark idea if I'm anywhere near that kind of sort of qualification?
So, the first thing to know is, have you done underquathlon and did you enjoy it? Because if
Oh,
you don't
yes.
enjoy
Yeah.
it, you're going to hate the whole thing.
Yes.
The second thing is, if you go to our aquathlon web pages, we've actually got guideline times that people need to meet.
Okay. Yeah.
There's certain swim distances and 5K times. And you are able to submit a swim time from one race and maybe a parkrun result as well to qualify. So there's ways into the team that don't mean you have to spend loads of money traveling around, doing races. So that should give you enough rough idea for that. For the
Mm.
other races, I would say just go and do a race and see if you enjoy it.
Yep.
And then if you do, um, it's a really tough question. You could go to the World Triathlon website and you could look at the
Mm.
previous race results.
Yep.
Because everyone in there, right from the start to the finish, will have qualified for their country.
Hmm.
You can't tell the elevation of the course, you can't tell what the weather conditions were, but it'll give you a
Yeah.
ballpark figure.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing we've got on every web page is what we call a time percentage calculator. And it's just a random web page that I Googled. But if you put the winner of your age group's time in
Yep.
and your time in, it will give
Yep.
you a percentage. And if you're within that 120%, that's a result you can use. So
Great.
maybe the first thing to do would be make sure you enjoy what you're looking to qualify for.
Of course.
If you've not done one before, go and do a race. So go and do a middle distance triathlon to see what it's like
Mm.
if you've not done one, or if you have done one, pop your times into the time percentage calculator on our event web pages, and then you can see whereabouts you are.
Excellent. So that makes it, yeah, that makes it, I mean, I don't want to use the word accessible is the wrong word to use because you are still looking at, sort of wanting to pick out sort of the fastest athletes in their age group. But we're not looking at, you don't need to be somebody who lives and breathes triathlon. You don't need to be this sort of super genetic specimen who is just built for endurance sports. There are lots of different ways to get onto the team within lots of different sports and lots of different disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've mentioned aquathlon. So if you don't like cycling, but you like running, or
Yeah.
you like swimming, and you're not too sure about running, maybe try an aquathlon because that's a really good competitive race. Um, if you're if you don't like running or you can't run because you've got an injury, then there's aquabike, which is just swim and bike, and
Yep.
that's what I do because I don't really run too well nowadays. I'm a bit
Hmm.
old. I was pretty good when I was younger, but not anymore. So aquabike for me is what I enjoy doing because I know I'm competitive, but that's
Yep.
just me.
Yep.
And it does feel like you're cheating a bit when you finish after getting off your bike. Um, but it's still a world. There's still a world and European championships that you can go and
Yes.
race at.
Absolutely.
Um, and cross triathlon, it's really up and coming. We've now got an Xterra race in the UK, which is fantastic. It's really bringing the level up.
Whereabouts is
It's
that?
um, I can't remember.
That's all right. I'll have a little look.
Yeah, I think it's below the Midlands. I might be wrong about that.
Hmm.
I should know, really, should know.
That's all right. Um, Yeah, and winter sort of winter races as well. So it seems that, if somebody's ambition is to get one of um those nice Great Britain tri-suits, then there are a lot of ways to go about it rather than just finishing within the top four Eton Dorney.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different opportunities. It's just kind of knowing where to go to find out and then sticking with what you like doing.
Yes. The I've just done a little bit of a quick Google there. The Xterra, I believe, is around Bath.
Okay.
Western Park, according to
Western Park.
Google. Again,
Yeah, that's it.
I've just done a very sly little search there, so don't hold that to me, everyone. But yeah, that's I mean, I think that'd be great fun. I've got a gravel bike. I don't know whether that'd be suitable enough for it. You'd have to check the event website. Some of them say it would probably be suitable for gravel bikes if you have especially aggressive tyres. But if it's going to be involve a lot of downhill where you're going to want some suspension, that's probably not a great idea. But no, I think it's that would be sort of great fun. It's something a bit different as well. I mean, I've been doing triathlons since 2012. It's just nice to sort of to mix things up a little bit now and then, and it could be as well a nice little incentive for people who've been on the team 2 or 3 times before, and they feel that they've kind of scratched that itch now. That would be a nice alternative event to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You do, just to add in, you do need a mountain bike.
Oh, it is
But it
definitely
doesn't,
mountain bike.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't need
Okay.
to be a massively expensive, fancy one.
Yeah.
Um, I would advise against going against a budget one that you got for £50 off a second-hand website.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't always need suspension, you don't need fancy tires, but yeah, a mountain bike is what you need. And actually, if you look at the sales at the end of the season, you can pick them up pretty cheap nowadays, like
Mm.
maybe £400 or £500. Whereas a road bike, you'd be paying 5 times that much for it.
Yeah. I often think back to when I got my first road bike in 2012, and I got it in early spring, so it's sort of peak time for buying bikes. Got it for £500. I spent quite a few years telling people, oh, you can get an entry level road bike for £500. Before I then check the prices, what they're going for these days, and you go, yes, you can no longer get an entry level road bike for £500. It's probably closer to sort of 700 to 750, which I think is partly, of course, inflation. Um, but also the way that sort of the industry has changed and the industries that move forward. But the entry level bike's now a lot better than the one that I first started out on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so uh, that's really helpful. Can you just explain about the roll down and sort
Yeah.
of how that works to people? Because there may be people who are thinking, oh, okay, I think I might be just outside of that sort of that time, that space. But I still wonder, how does the roll down work? Would I have a chance there?
Yeah, absolutely. So say let's take an example of a sprint triathlon, and the winner finishes an hour flat. The first three people behind him, including the winner, will be given a queue.
Yep.
Um, and I don't want to get complicated, but I just need to add in that you always race in the age group that you finished the year on. If
Yes.
if you're trying to qualify for a race the following year, and you move up an age group the following year, your results will be considered in that age group.
Okay.
It can also be people coming into your age group. So we say it's the top four,
Yep.
based on no one with a quicker time moving into
Hmm.
your age group. Um, so that's the top four athletes will be given a queue, but anyone who finishes within that 120% will be given a percentage. So if you're outside of the 120%,
Mm.
unfortunately, you've not met the standard to qualify. And
Yeah.
sometimes you might be really unlucky. There might be someone really fast turn up and you're at 121%, but there is a cutoff. And I think one of the things that people really like about age group racing that it's the rules are very black and white and everything's fair.
Mm.
And I think people respect that as well. It's a very level playing field. So with the roll downs, we will have all the qualifying races if it's sprint or standard, triathlon or duathlon or standard aqua bike.
Yep.
After the qualifying races, we'll pop in the pre-qualified athletes from the British Championships
Hmm.
that have happened in the year. Um, there might be pre-qualified athletes from the current year's World or European Championships, so they'll
Yep.
get added in as well. And if there's any places left, we'll roll them down to the next fastest person. So we'll look at all the percentages in the age group.
Hmm.
If there's someone with 105% over 106%, then they'll get offered the next place. But what does tend to happen is that we'll do all that, we'll get to a point maybe around November time, and it doesn't look like there's any more places, but actually the race details will come out, the championship, World European Champs race date will come out, the location will come out, things come up in people's lives, and people withdraw from the age group because they can't make the date or it's
Okay.
their best friend's wedding. They might have got an injury and then they withdraw. And that means that that place becomes available. So then we can do more roll downs for
Yep.
the next fastest people.
Okay, that's great. I think that gives people an insight. I mean, something I always tell people when they have kind of a performance goal where they go, well, an outcome goal where they go, I want to finish, on the podium at this event, is that you can never decide who's going to turn up, you know, and I believe that ex-professional triathletes can turn up and qualify for the age group team should they wish. So,
Yes.
as things stand, if you turned up to your local Olympic, well, if you turned up to an Olympic distance qualifier and a certain Mr. Alistair Brownlee has decided that he'd like to have a pop, there'd be nothing stopping it. And, and that could then throw things askew. So, obviously, you do just need to go into these events. You go, look, all that you can do is you can focus on your own fitness, on executing your own race, and putting
Mhm.
in the best time that you can without getting stressed out about what other athletes are doing around you, and that you just yeah don't allow other people sort of to get into your head. And if one year you don't quite make it, not to get too disheartened. That I'm sure that for a lot of athletes, it takes 2, 3 years, maybe more, to be able to qualify to get the place on the team that they want. And that they just need to, they just sort of need to keep the faith, keep at it, keep chipping away. Because generally speaking, people, as long as they keep training sort of year on year, should generally be getting faster, at least within their age group. So it's definitely something that I encourage people to sort of to stick with and not to think, right, this is my 1 year plan. I'm going to qualify this year, because there could be things that happen that are out of your control, that prevent you from getting in that the first year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the ex pros coming in, we do have a few men and women ex pros. So what we do is, if the winner of the age group is a long way in front, we'll discount their time and we'll
Okay.
take the next fastest person. So if there's a bunch of people at the front, that means that is the competitiveness of the age
Yep.
group. But if, say, Alistair was to turn up and do an age group race, which I'm not sure
I
he would
can't see
do
him
that
doing
just yet.
it, but I just thought I'd use it as an example most people could relate. Well, not relate to, but understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe when he's older, he will come back and be in the age group team, and that would be
I
great.
could
But
see him doing sort of like something a bit unusual, like the cross triathlons or something, something a bit left field maybe, but
yeah, I mean, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be so good. But we probably would ignore his time and go for
yeah,
the next fastest person,
yeah,
because he's going to meet his time's going to skew the
yeah,
fastest time, and it's going to mean that people like myself who would be at the back just would be just outside, and that's really annoying. And that's not what we want as a national
yeah,
federation. The
yeah,
idea is to give people the opportunity, if we within that works within our rules, to
yeah.
qualify. But yeah, I it took me so I my triathlon journey started in 2010 when, so I think I mentioned the other day I saw an advert in the middle of a roundabout to do a
Okay.
triathlon, and I didn't even know what it meant. So I went and found out and thought it would be a good challenge. So I did that. And then 5 years later managed to qualify
Mm.
for the European sprint triathlon team through a roll down
Yeah.
with about 3 months to go, which I was absolutely made up about. So I would say if you're new to triathlon, do just enjoy it for the first few
Mm.
years, learn about the process. You don't have to spend tons and tons of money. You can earn race entries through volunteering to help race organisers in other
Yes.
events. You don't have to have a really expensive fancy bike. You can get a second-hand one pretty cheap, or there are places that sell them a bit cheaper as well. So it doesn't have to cost the earth if you don't want it to, but if
Yes,
you
I
do,
agree.
then you can spend your money. But yeah, if you don't get in the first time, keep trying and look to your strengths. So always, like I said earlier, always go with something you enjoy. And always look at something, maybe you've always wanted to go to America and there's a race in Canada next year, and you think you can make a family holiday of it, and then that
Mm.
that involves your family. They'll buy into your training to get there.
Yeah.
Everyone will support you, and it becomes a bigger thing than just a race. And then
Mm.
it almost takes the pressure off of going to the race. If everyone's there and you've got a holiday out of it as well.
Yeah. I don't think people should be afraid of, rather than being restricted to feeling like they can't do other events, to lean into their strengths. If it is their dream to get that tri suit, I mean, if I, if I wanted to qualify and get a nice photo of myself in the GB tri suit, stick on my coaching website, then for me, I'd probably go, okay, well, I think the best option for me is a aquathlon because my bike is my weakest. I think because of the fact that I'm quite a lightweight rider and most courses are pound flat, my FTP is just sort of 50 watts lower than the people at the top of my age group. And even though I'm sort of 4.3 watts per kilo, I'm just never going to be able to put out the raw power that they can on the bike. It's always going to be my weakest link unless it's a hilly course. So if I focus, I shouldn't be ashamed to go, you know what? I'm just going to do a aquathlon instead because that's my best chance at qualifying. Um,
Yeah,
and
completely.
another thing is just how people register sort of their intent to qualify and what that looks like.
Yeah, I think the Barry Island one is a bit lumpy, and
Okay, I'll have a look at that then.
not sure if it's draft legal or not, but that would be a good one if you're down on power on the bike, is get into a draft legal race because you can coast along in the pack.
Yeah,
Always it.
yeah, no, that's a very good point. I'm sure I have the FTP to hang into the pack without getting dropped. But I'm just not one of these big powerhouses, I mean, some of the people in my age group, they've got legs the size of my head. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
that's a good shout.
yeah.
So yeah, the intent to qualify, I believe people
Yeah.
need to register an intent to qualify before they start their event, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. So, sprint and standard distance, triathlon, duathlon, and standard aqua bike.
Yep,
You need to register to qualify 5 p.m. before the Friday on the qualifying race. So,
yep,
reason is that I finish work at 5 p.m. So I can't help you after that. And
yeah,
that's quite simply why it's closed.
yep,
Do a lot of people do leave it late to register. So I'd say if you can register once you know you're gonna enter the race and try and qualify,
mm,
that's great because then we can if there's any problems that crop up, like you lose the internet or your device crashes,
yep,
there's a way around it. We can get you in there. But you do need to register to qualify. There is a cost in that. Um, that all comes down to how age group is funded. So British sport in the UK is generally funded through UK Sport. English sport is funded through Sport England. There's National Lottery funding for Olympic athletes, but there's nothing that funds the age group program other than the registration fee,
mm,
and that allows us to have me in the office.
yep,
It pays for office space, but we also, as with any business, have bank charges when people pay to register, when we do refunds. So that registration fee does pay for your registration and it goes towards funding age group as well. If you don't register to qualify, we don't know to pick you out of the results.
yep,
So the people in the race that are maybe sitting there waiting to see who's going to register before 5 o'clock on the Friday will make a list of everyone in their age group.
yep,
And if your name isn't in the list, they don't know that they're racing against you.
hmm
And that could affect the outcome of the race. So
mm,
that's two really important reasons that people need to register. And unfortunately, we do have people every year that don't register, and sometimes they're targeting the last qualifier, and we just can't do anything. It's so
yeah,
frustrating. They've put all the time into training, they go to the qualifier, but they
yep,
forget to register, and it's very frustrating for them and for me as well because
yeah,
I appreciate that people want to train and race and qualify, and it's just one silly little admin mistake and they
yeah.
can't do it.
It's
They
one of
might
those
have
things,
to do it a whole year.
you have to draw the line somewhere, and that just so happens to be 5 p.m. the Friday before.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, on the subject of the way that age group is funded within the UK, obviously British Triathlon cannot say to all these athletes on the team, we're so in awe of your athletic performance, we're going to pay to fly you out there and your hotels and your race suits and all of that. So, what level of what level of support is provided by, but if we see if we move beyond the qualification part now, we move on to the actual experience of, okay, you've qualified, you've made it to a championship race. What is the what the British Triathlon provide, and what is it that athletes need to sort of procure themselves and book?
Yeah. So, cost for the athlete would be purchasing a team tri suit, which you can wear for a few years. You also need to book your own travel and accommodation transfers. So you need to get to the race yourself. Um, you have to have travel insurance, which includes medical cover for racing. And it's also advisable to insure your bike if you're not doing a aquathlon,
Yes.
and all your other kit just in case. So insurance might seem a bit of a pain in the bottom and it is expensive, but if anything does happen, it's there to back you up.
Yeah.
Um, when people do decide to take up the place on a team, they pay British Triathlon another fee, and sometimes
Hmm.
that's within the entry fee, sometimes it's separate, but it lets us know that you want to take up the place. That enables us to send a, team manager who's a volunteer to the event to support people at the event, and that and I think there's 15 team managers. They're all volunteers, so some of them have jobs, some are retired,
Yep.
some are coaches. But the program couldn't exist without them.
Hmm.
There's so much knowledge and experience within them that they help to shape age group, with any changes that come in. But they support the team from January the 1st to December the 31st. They're there
Yep.
all year round, doing admin in the background, and they're all volunteers. And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so at the event, they'll be at the event. They normally fly out a few days before. They'll wreck the course, maybe if they can. But they'll work with the local organising committee to make sure the course is safe and appropriate as well.
Hmm.
And we can always help as national federation if there's any issues that we can spot before the race. They'll hold a athletes race briefing in most cases, and if the LOC hold the race briefing, then the team managers will be on hand to answer questions when somebody qualifies. And normally towards the end of the year, we set up individual team Facebook groups, and the
Hmm.
team managers are in that as well as admins. And that's where a lot of people can connect and, share wisdom, share knowledge and tips. Team managers are there to support. I can get information out to people really quickly.
Yeah.
Um, what a lot of people don't see the team managers doing is helping athletes that end up in hospital. Um, you know, carrying bags back to the hotel from somebody who is perhaps poorly in the medical tent,
Hmm.
contacting, you know, partners, next of kin, friends to come and pick them up because they've banged their knee and they can't walk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that team managers do,
Yep.
and what people generally see of them is they'll be at the race briefing, they'll arrange the team photo, and then they'll be at the end cheering you on. And it's all the background stuff that they
Yep.
do, which is the biggest support.
Mm.
The program couldn't work without them because I can't go out to 25 events every year to do it all.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the support. I did before COVID do a little study, and I did look at how much it would cost to send 3,000 age groupers abroad to all the events in the year, and I think I was up to 5.6 million. So that's a
Better start
fair bit.
looking behind the sofa.
Yeah, I think it'd be more like 7.2 now. Costs have,
Mm.
have gone up pretty high.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, unfortunately, the way sport is funded and the way that British Triathlon is accountable to
Yeah.
its funders, UK Sport, Sport England, etc., is that there is no funding for age group, and that it's incredibly frustrating, and I find it a bit sad. But no other sport in the UK has it either,
Yeah.
and maybe that's why. But I don't know where that money would come from if we
Mm.
were to try and fund it. Who would do that? It's a real tricky situation because the cost of things is high now, isn't it?
Mm.
Race entry fees are going up. I think we said the other day it's getting more and more to enter a race. Um, and all these little costs do add up. Like cost of tires is going up, cost of chains is going up.
Yeah.
Bar tape
Yeah.
is another one.
I think this is another reason why sometimes the qualifying slots roll a lot deeper than some people might expect. Because you'll have somebody for whom triathlon is their hobby, but they might be on a single income, And the thought of, I mean, even I think there are a lot of, off the top of my head, obviously, events that I've helped my athletes qualify for and race at. Sort of Spain and Romania seem to be two quite popular destinations for Europeans, and of course, and World Championships, and they're all over around Ibiza as well. So there are a fair few that are within Europe. But even just within Europe, you still, even though the flights, you can probably get a Ryanair flight relatively cheaply, you then get stung with the bike transport. Um, but sort of all of the accommodation, all of the additional costs that come with that, you know, and the even something like the GB tri-suit, obviously great, British Triathlon aren't just going to go for the lowest option that they get. They're not going to want to have people who have really poorly made triathlon suits. So I think it's sort of around it's over £100, I think. What's the cost of the suit now?
The base suit is £200.
200. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
all of these costs can spiral, which, if somebody has the means to go out and to do this as like a once in a lifetime event and they've got the budget for it and think, yes, I think I will, then, that sort of that aids their cause because they are simply due to having the ability to go out there, then they may well end up taking slots from people who can't afford to, which is sad in itself, but it's another reason that people should consider giving it a go because you
Yeah.
never know how it could be. And again, if somebody's been out for the last 3 years running, they may just go, I think I just, I can't afford to do it for a fourth year, and you could end up having their slot.
Yeah, absolutely. People, so like me, I tend to go well, when I can get a place. It would probably be every other year,
Yeah,
um, just to be able to afford to go.
yeah,
Some people do go every year, then they'll have a break for a few years, and they'll come back in. And
hmm
some people do it once, and that's it. They've
yeah,
achieved what they wanted to do. Then they move on to other things. So there are different ways of being able to pay to get to races, but
mm,
I fully appreciate the cost of a £200 tri suit is a lot.
yeah,
Um, and it might be kind of 7-8% of the cost of a 5 or 6 day trip.
yeah,
You do have it for a number of years, and you can wear it in the UK, and you can, there are things that you can do with it other than um, just wearing it at the World or European Championships.
yes.
Um, so we have a travel partner called Nirvana.
Okay, you work with Nirvana, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone is new to the team, I would encourage them to book with Nirvana for the first time at
Hmm.
least. They will really look after people. They'll book everything for you. You get race cancellation insurance. But there are other ways of traveling as well.
Yeah,
There's booking.com websites, there's laterooms.com.
yeah,
Quite often the LOC will put information within their race packs of places that are, local places they've made agreements with.
yeah.
And you can get flights. So if you use a VPN when you're booking a flight and put the
Hmm.
location as the country you're going to, that's a way of getting cheap flights.
Ah,
And also using an incognito window so your cookies are
yes,
not tracked. They
yeah,
don't know that you've been on the website before. So that can help bring costs down.
yeah.
And also look at the time of day that you're searching. If you use the same if you look at the same time every day and every week, look at different times of the day because some days of the week and some times of day you get cheaper flights than you do others.
Mm,
I found it with my own holiday. We booked our last holiday I think about 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning because that
hmm.
was the cheapest time of the package. And all through the week it went up to a different price, and that we found that was the cheapest time. So it's just how the internet works, isn't it, with the algorithms? But that
Yeah,
can really help people just to
yeah.
bring the cost down.
Yeah. And so just to, because the last thing I want to do is for somebody to stop listening to this podcast, to go away and say, I'm going to qualify for the GBH group team, and then go through all of this process, all the training, go to the qualification race, qualify, and then realize that actually it's out of their budget, because that's just crushingly disappointing. So if we can just say you have the intent to qualify fee, which is quite low, isn't it?
14.50.
1450, there we go. I think that's within most people's budget. You've of course got the entry to the qualifying race itself, which normally I think around the £100 mark for a lot of these big events is roughly a good a good ballpark. You've then got the cost of attending the travel and any potential accommodation at the qualification race, and then if you qualify, um, then you have you said there was an additional fee that somebody pays when they take their slot. How much is that?
27.50.
Okay, 27.50. So again, it is a cost, but it's not something that should be prohibitive to most. There's £200 for the tri-suit, and then what's the for these big championship races, the entry fee is often higher. I know it depends massively, but what's sort of a rough amount somebody should sort of budget for? Is it sort of £100 again?
It depends on the race. That's the problem.
Mm.
So aquathlon would be around €90. So say it's
Okay.
using Europe as an example.
Yes.
Aquathlon would be about 90. And in the
Yeah.
UK, you might do an aquathlon for £40, but so €90 might seem a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but a long distance triathlon could be £450.
Mm.
And even sprint distance world championships would be maybe 350,
Okay.
which does sound like a lot of money for a sprint race, but we're a bit stuck with that one. We do put in every year to let, World Triathlon know the prices are quite high for entry
Hmm.
fees.
Yeah.
So we do fight that in the background, but they haven't really gone up that much
Okay.
considering where they were a few years ago. So they've always been like that. So we'd say a sprint duathlon would be £150 for Europeans. A sprint triathlon for Europeans might be 180,
Mm.
190.
Yeah.
It really depends on the race. If you put 250 in, that's probably edging it up a bit high. But if you want to do a standard distance, that in Europe, that would probably cover it.
Yeah. Okay, that's again that's worth knowing. And I think that these big events, I think that is these are one of the things that sort of that helps fund World Triathlon, is that correct? Or do you know if that's all swallowed up within the race organization itself?
I don't have a lot of knowledge around that.
No, fair enough. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess I'm thinking logically from a business sense, that may be one of the reasons that it just sort of that those race entries help fund sort of the running of the whole of the governing body. But yeah, so that's obviously that's some relatively significant cost, especially when you consider then flights if you want to take the family out as well. That of course increases things, and the accommodation. So these are all things that people need to consider. And again, look on the British Triathlon website, see where the championship you're intending to qualify is. If it is Australia, and if you have family out in Australia and you want to go make a thing of it, then yeah, great. But it may be worth waiting another year to qualify if you are a bit uncertain about that,
yeah,
whether it
absolutely.
be affordable, because there will be something that comes up closer, or even maybe look at the Europeans relative to the worlds. I still think that the field is going to be not too different. There's no real shame in saying, oh, you only went to the Europeans. I think that the strength of field is going to be just about the same level.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd always say look for the race that suits your budget.
Mm,
Don't try and qualify for Australia if you can't go because you've wasted your time qualifying, you've wasted your money qualifying, and you
yeah,
can't go. Right. You can still buy the tri suit, but if you can't go, there's no point.
yeah,
I've always been 100% open and realistic with people about that.
yeah.
Um, but there's a race, so the European sprint distance, a standard distance duathlons in 2024 are in Rumia in Poland.
Okay.
So that would be cheaper to probably get to and stay
Yeah.
at than say a race in Switzerland.
Yes.
So there
Yeah.
are countries within Europe where things do cost less, and there are
Mm.
countries in Europe where things cost more. So um, if we've got the information, always look for the place that, maybe you've always wanted to go there, or
Yeah.
you can make a holiday of it, or it's not too far away. It's a quick kind of
Mm.
fly in, fly out job. But yeah, always look for what will suit your budget. So I'd say European races may be cheaper.
Mm.
Um, World races, you might have to travel to Canada, or you know, you might have to go to Australia. But if you've got the budget to do that, then
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's open for you to
We'd
do.
love to have people in the Great Britain tri-suit out there.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. We'll have people out there, 100%. It's just if that isn't somewhere that your budget allows you to go to, then look for something that will.
Mm.
That's the best advice.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think another cost-saving tip, a few of my athletes have, when they've done races in sort of Germany, France, maybe Spain, is they've driven, especially if they've had their family. They put if they've got a car, they can put the bike in the back of, and they got their family in as well, and that can save a small fortune especially once you're paying for four flights and the bike
Mm.
carriage and all that. That can be obviously it does take sort of a day or two to get out there, but if it's the difference between you being able to make it out there or not, then I definitely get people to consider that.
Yeah, absolutely. And from a sustainability point of view, if you can get the train or
Yeah.
maybe get a ferry over to somewhere like Spain, that's even better because you're not having such an impact of the travel on the environment. Um, a lot of people do drive over or get the train for the races in kind of Northern Europe. So
Mm.
I'm looking after the World Middle Distance Duathlon in April, and
Yeah.
that's in a little town called Ohlsdorf in Germany,
Yeah.
and it's about a 4 hour trip apparently
Hmm.
from the Eurotunnel. So a lot of people are just going to drive there because they've not got to worry about customs. They're not going to put their bike in the bike box. It'll just go
Yeah.
in the car. They can stay somewhere local. They've still got their car as transport, or they can go on the train. There's good connections everywhere.
Yeah.
It can be a really good way to get there.
Yeah. I went to when I did my first Ironman, I was living in London at the time. I went up to Bolton on the train. That was an interesting experience with all the gear that you need for an Ironman. Um, but it's definitely sort of an option for somebody who doesn't have a car, as I didn't at the time, or like or you say just wants to keep the costs down and keep it, relatively simple. But if you do have somebody like a partner who can, if you are taking the train, if you do have a partner or a friend or someone who can go with you to help carry your bags while you're wheeling your bike around, that does make a big difference. I can attest to that from personal experience. The next thing I wanted to touch on was talked about the middle and the long distance triathlon.
Mhm.
So if somebody is looking to qualify for the Ironman World Championships, that is nothing to do with British Triathlon. That is just, with Ironman being a brand, that is all on you. You don't get the Great Britain Tri suit. You're simply going at that as an individual. So what are because I know the distances are slightly different for the middle and the long distance races that are sort of managed by World Triathlon.
Yeah. So there is a European middle distance triathlon, which is the same distance as Ironman,
Okay.
give or take a few kilometers.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most popular teams and one of the most competitive races.
Okay.
Um, there is a European long distance triathlon, which this year is being held at Challenge Almere.
All right.
Um, and that is a true long distance race, so the same distance as a long distance Ironman.
Yeah.
Um, then there is what is called the long distance World Championships, and that's the one that is just above middle distance, but it's called a long distance. Um, it gives World Triathlon the ability to lengthen the course if they do want to do a full long distance race.
Okay.
Um, but it also is easier for race organisers because it can slot in somewhere else. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, we've got the T100
Yeah.
distance. I think we had a race there one year. I can't quite remember actually. But yeah, I think the world long distance, it's just over middle, so the swim might be 2K, the
Yeah.
bike might be kind of 80, or maybe 100, and then the run would be probably just over a half marathon, or
Yeah.
maybe a half marathon.
Hmm.
It's quite flexible, so
Mm.
it isn't really the true long distance in the sense of Ironman 140.6 kilometers,
Yeah.
but that's just the way that they do it.
Okay. Yeah. That's so it's something for people to be aware of, that to double check the distances of these events and not to just immediately assume that long distance means the full sort of the full Ironman distance because there can be flexibility with that. I know that even within um, sort of the middle distance as an event in the UK, that for race organisers, because they can't always get it bang on the distance, that there is some flexibility when it comes to the race distance. You have some half middle distance, half distance that are around about 80 kilometers on the bike. And these are just sort of leeways because yeah, if you are a huge event that can afford to close down the roads, you can afford to get it spot on the official distance, as it were. That's great, but that's not always the case, especially sort of in the UK where closing roads can be very expensive and very difficult, and sometimes race organisers do just need to compromise and go, look, we're going to get it as close as we reasonably can, while still being able to provide the support and the experience that the athletes want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that is pretty much all that I have to sort of talk about when it comes to the experience that individuals may sort of have if somebody wants to go and qualify. I guess a question I have for you is what level of success have Great Britain had at these events in the past for the world and the Europeans?
So that's a great question because we don't really we don't really look at that.
Okay.
It's more of facilitating people to go.
Hmm.
Um, so people can win. They do win world championships and they do win European championships, and there are podiums for every age group at these races.
Yep.
Um, I think our medal tally is between 8 and 10% of people will achieve a podium at the
Brilliant.
races in a whole team, and
Mm,
that's been the same for a few years. There's never really been a call for how successful we are because
mm.
how do you measure success? Is it
Of
the
course,
number of
yes.
people that race? Is it the number of podiums? Is it number of gold medals? Is it the least number of DNFs?
Is it the friends we make along the way?
Yeah, it is it the money that we bring in, and
Yep.
you know, what is the measure of success? I don't know. I think I would judge it on people's experiences.
Mm,
That's how I would go. So if the team is staying around the same size or slightly more, it's slightly less. I think that's a really good thing and a good way to measure
mm,
things because people are coming back to the team. They're telling their friends they had a good experience. They want, their friends think that's a good idea for something to do. So that's how I would measure it. Although there was a medal table out last year amongst the bigger NGBs and we were at the top.
always
But
nice.
that's yeah, but that I don't think that is really important. I think it's the
No.
experiences that people have and how we can facilitate them to win world championships if that's what their goal is.
Yeah.
We want to put people on the start line that are competitive, safe, and are going to have that great experience.
Mm,
But if there in the future is a shift for medal statistics, where we are in the world table, European table, I can definitely kind of take things that way. It's just there's not really the call at the minute for that.
yeah. No, that makes sense. Again, it's not the kind of thing that I get overly hung up on myself. I'd much like, I mean, one of my biggest things as a coach is I want people to still be enjoying the sport in 10, 15, 20 years' time, rather than it being sort of someone who takes up the sport for a year or two to do an Ironman event and then walk away from it forever. I think that, it's much better if you can get people to really enjoy the health benefits and the lifestyle that comes with these events, with the sport, sorry. And that's more important than the placing. But obviously, yeah, if somebody can come away from a European Championship with a medal and they have that podium experience, then that's going to be a memory that's going to stay with them forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So
And what do you think is holding more people back from qualifying for age group for qualifying for the team?
um I think lack of knowledge about how to go about it.
Hmm.
Um we have got the age group hub on the British Triathlon website and
Yeah.
people can go from there. And it does seem to cause some confusion, but we're always here for people to ask. So our email address is on that hub. You can always ask me for anything you need to
Hmm.
find what you want to find. Um, I think the socio-economic state of the UK is probably the biggest blocker,
Mm.
and social cultural issues as well with underrepresented groups because
Yeah.
the age group team is not very well represented culturally compared
Hmm.
to the rest of Great Britain.
Yep.
Um, so I think all these things just all add up to the team size not being as big and people saying, "Do you know,
Mm.
I'm just going to have a year off. I've done it for the last 2 years. Let's just pay the credit cards back off."
Mm. Yes. Yeah.
Or let's have some races and do some things where we're not under the same pressure, or I don't feel the
Mm.
same pressure. I might go and do a cross race in the UK, or
Yep.
I might sit on a beach for a couple of weeks instead of
Yeah.
going to an age group race.
Yep.
Yeah, I think definitely the money side of things is the biggest blocker. But again, I think getting the knowledge to be able to qualify is probably the second one.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Are there? I imagine that with some of the age groups of certain events, especially sort of once you get into the 70s, that there are events and age groups where you don't actually get enough people meeting the criteria to fill the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that again is sometimes dependent on age. So from 35 upwards, so 35 to 65 for men, and I'd say probably 30, maybe 40 to 60 for women. A lot of age groups are oversubscribed, particularly for aquathlon. But it's the long distance races that tend to have less subscribers. The cross triathlon tends to be less oversubscribed.
Yep.
But we did have a year, I think it was last year, where the men's 70 to 74 was oversubscribed
Hmm.
for the World Championships in Torremolinos. And I thought that was fantastic. All those athletes at that age
Yeah,
wanting to be in the team still, that's a phenomenal achievement to be able to do that.
that's great. I think, it's great for everyone that, well, maybe not the people who missed out who thought they get an easy entry, but, it's great to see that so many people are enjoying it. And what I think is going to make, I'm interested personally to see how this pans out because, I mean, even though triathlon has been around since the 80s, it was really following Alistair's success in 2012 that the sport took off. And looking forward to seeing the people who maybe took up the sport, in their 40s or their 50s then, if we're going to see a growth in those older age groups in the coming years as these athletes who started the sport around that boom start to reach that point. And I mean, I hope that we see a growth in that section as well as all age groups really. Um, but yeah, it is really nice to see and to hear that there are age groups that are being oversubscribed, and it's not simply a case of it just being sort of for young people. I mean, the issue that I had because when I first started triathlon, qualifying for the team was a major, major goal of mine. But I looked at the times that would be required and that are happening in the qualifying races. I think you have a lot of people who've sort of done the super series in the past, these in the because I was early 20s at the time. There's really high level elite people who maybe didn't make it onto the World Triathlon circuit, but were still racing at that really high level. And I just thought, yeah, like there's the bar right now is way too high. Now that I'm actually into my 30s, it feels like it's a little bit more achievable.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I think the guys at the front at the minute are quite high performing,
Mm.
but you've still got that 120% to
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of people maybe get a bit put off, maybe because they think, oh, I can't do a sprint triathlon, an open water one in an hour like that person did
Mm.
last year on the same course. So I'm not going to do that because that's not for me. I can't do that. But could you do it in an hour and 10? Because you'd still meet the standard.
Mm.
It's you might lose a minute here or there, but you could still qualify probably on a roll down. You could still go to that European Championships and have a great experience, and you can still represent Great Britain,
Yeah.
and that's huge. Like there's so
Yeah.
few people that have done that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So, and I wanted to finish off, if you can just give us a little bit of an insight personally into your experience. racing for the team. You know, how you qualified for your first event, what it was like being out there, the support, the team. Because I imagine that you weren't in your current role when you first qualified.
No, I was working 4 on 4 off shifts when I first qualified.
Hmm.
So I had the 4 days off where I'd come off of 4 nights and be pretty tired, but it would give me that time to train.
Yep.
Then in 2016, I qualified again and I was just working 9 till 5. So it was really weird trying to work my training around that.
Yep.
Um, the first time I went out, I nearly got pulled out of the swim because it was in Lake Geneva,
Oh wow.
and it looked flat. And I made the mistake of going, "Oh, that doesn't look too bad," and then got in there for the actual race, and I had a panic attack. My asthma kicked off. I had to
Mm.
float on my back, taking my
Oh
inhaler.
no.
And the guy in the canoe was like, "You come out, you come out," and I'm like, "I'm fine. Just give me a minute." So I think I was second to last out in the water, which I was embarrassed about because my swim
Mm.
wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm.
Like for me, I thought I'd be back of the mid pack.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the person that came out before and after me, they both really struggled. So that gave me a little bit of confidence afterwards that it wasn't just me that was
Mm.
just having a mare. My bike went brilliantly on that first race. I overtook tons of people, and then my run was always my Achilles heel. So I was glad to finish not last.
Yeah.
And someone's got to be at the back, right? We can't
Yes.
all be at the front, be speedies. But it was a really good experience.
Mm.
And I just thought representing Great Britain, who's done that I know? I don't know
Yeah.
anyone that's done that. Like,
Yeah.
I was, I've gone to university and my parents didn't go to university. So it was this big
Mm.
thing. It was on similar lines to that for me.
Yeah.
The second time I got in through a roll down, so I'm not at the front, but my bike was always one of the fastest bikes.
Hmm.
And then my swim just kind of is okay, and my run wasn't too bad. So the second time, um, it was in Portugal. My dad came to support me, and that was great. I
Nice.
really enjoyed the whole thing. The bike course was an out and back 2 laps along a big flyover, big dual carriageway. It was fantastic. Um, and then I went to Valencia in 21, which was interesting because we still have COVID. So let's skip over that.
Mm. Yes.
Um, but then last year I was at Torremolinos, and I felt like I wasn't nervous. I felt experienced. I knew what I needed to do in my training. I'd sorted my diet out, so I've managed to cut things down a bit. My tri suit was actually a little bit baggy on me, so I was really pleased with that. A woman in her 40s, tri suit's a bit baggy. That's a win for us. Um, but I had the best time, and the swim was quite hard because people from other ways were catching up and swimming over, but
Hmm.
I didn't feel panicked. I was coping with it. It was fine.
Good.
The bike was phenomenal. It was 3 laps and it was kind of all uphill, down a down a hill, back up a hill, and then down a massive descent. And I went absolutely flying down there.
Hmm.
I'm an ex-motorbike racer, so my bike
Ah.
qualities are pretty good. Yeah, so I was able to cane it down the descents, and I just had the best time.
Yeah.
And then I was fortunate at the end to meet a couple of people that I'd met in qualifying races, and I think this is something that's overlooked by a lot of people that they don't realise if they've not been in the team. It's the same people that go to qualifying races and championships, and you'll see the
Mm.
same people at your local races that you won in your age group.
Hmm.
I was lucky enough to run over the line with one of the women that I'd been racing against at my local race a couple of months ago, and we carried a flag between us. It was great.
Nice.
It was just brilliant. So yes, I had a great big beer. A couple of hours later, when I'm rehydrated, and I wasn't last, and I wasn't near the back. I was almost off the back, so I was really
Mm.
happy with that.
Yeah. And I'm guessing there's a lot of camaraderie between all of the Great Britain athletes, not only in the sort of in the days running up to the event, but also sort of out on the course and at the finish line. You know, there's got to be a pretty special sense of community because you can really easily spot your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone's got the same tri-suit. There is optional kit to buy in the store as well, which is obviously British. And if people wear their British kit, you can spot them.
Mm.
Um, People that you don't know will cheer for you, which is quite unusual, isn't it? I find in the UK you get a
Yeah.
general clap and a well done, keep going.
Yeah.
But outside of the UK at World and European Championship, people will shout if you've got your surname on your tri suit, people will
Mm.
shout your surname even if they don't know me.
Hmm.
And that was great. One of the things I've brought in this year is what I'm calling an all teams meeting. So once a month through January, February, March, and every other month through the season, I'm inviting everyone who's qualified in every team to come on to an hour-ish long call,
Yeah.
and I can update everyone about the latest updates for their teams and let them know which championships are coming up, British
Yeah.
championships and home nations. And that's one of the ways that we really want to build the sense of team, because it depends what you want to get from the race. If you're a really bubbly person, likes to be connected, you can connect with people through the Facebook group.
Mm.
But if you want that connection and you're a bit quiet, like I'm quite shy,
Mm.
um, you might not be as outgoing. So just to have that opportunity to see other people and maybe think, oh, they're in the tri club that's in the next town to me. They're not too far. I could go with a bike ride, on a bike ride
Yeah.
with them. There's
Yeah.
a way for people to connect and feel sense of team. So
Mm.
um yeah, I do really like having a sense of team, but I'm also quite a quiet person. But some people, they'll uh, when I went out to Olsdorf last year with the middle distance
Mm.
champs, I saw a load of age groupers sitting in the bar in their kit in Witherspoons at the airport, and that was great. I thought that is just brilliant. They're all getting to know each other.
Yeah.
They've now got that connection between them. They'll go out to the race. They can say hi. They've got someone to chat to about the race afterwards, because we all like to talk about a race
Oh
afterwards.
yeah.
And that's just brilliant, and that's what we need more of. So, um, yeah, having that sense of team and people shouting your name that you've never met,
Mm.
it's hard to get that anywhere.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's I'm sure it must be very special. It's something that I do need to pull my finger out, and I do need to focus on. It's just my focus has been on my coaching for so long, um, that it's getting various qualifications done and getting the business built up. I know it's been 9 years that I've been doing this now, but it still feels like I'm just starting out. There's always so much to learn, so much to do. But no, this has inspired me, if no one else, to pull my finger out and to think, you know what, yeah, let's do that. And I do think that, and again, this is probably a controversial opinion that not everybody will agree with, but I think that if you are able to turn up and you are able to put in a really good time that allows you to qualify and go and represent Great Britain, that is just as, if not in my opinion, more impressive than completing an Ironman. Obviously, it's two quite different experiences. An Ironman is a test of endurance, it's an all-day event. It is something that will people have never been nonchalant about the fact when I tell them about an Ironman that I did. And they say, "What's an Ironman?" and I tell them, they've never gone, "Oh, I don't care about that." They've always, "Oh, fair." The very worst you get is, "Oh, fair play." But most people are really taken by that. But if you can tell somebody, "Oh, yes, I went out and I represented Great Britain at the Triathlon World Championships," I think that for me, that carries, if you're into such things, carries a lot of social clout. And a lot of people are impressed by that. A lot of people want to do that. And I think that if somebody has been racing Ironman for the last sort of several years and starting to maybe get a little bit bored of it, that looking to do something shorter and faster is a great way for them to find a new way to enjoy the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that cross over from Ironman into the middle and long distance teams.
Mm.
And it is a different experience. I really enjoy watching those Ironman documentaries they do before each race, and
Yeah.
they go into the people's stories, and I love watching that because it's so inspiring. But it's a different experience to age
Yes.
group races. There's no national kit, there's no parade of nations. I think they sometimes have an opening ceremony. But last year at Torremolinos, the Mexican athletes, their
Mm.
kit was amazing. They were so noisy. They were having so much fun.
Yeah.
You didn't get that at Ironman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Even at Ironman World Championships, there's no people might have their country flag on their tri-suit, but it's normally
Mm.
quite small, or
Yeah.
it's not obvious where they're from. There's no country code. You don't know who's British, who's Spanish, who's American. So you do get that at age group.
Yep.
I would like to go and do an Ironman, and I'm
Mm.
actually quite pleased that I'd be able just to wear like a black tri-suit, be completely anonymous. No one knows who I am. I'd love that because I can do it, and I'm not going to be embarrassed by my time as long as I finish.
Yes. Yep.
But some people, if you've done Ironman and you're like, oh, what can I do next? Because that's what we are as triathletes, really, isn't it?
Yes. What's
We're
next?
always looking for the next thing. What
Yeah.
can I do next? What kind of training plan can I get for this,
Mm.
this goal, and what numbers can I do? And we always, as a group of people, seem to be seeking more challenging challenges, um, and the next thing to do. So yeah, I'd say if you've done an Ironman, have a look at the British team if that's what you want to do. If
Mm.
the locations are restricted to one race per year, but maybe that would fit with your Ironman calendar. I don't know.
Yes.
There's also merch because I know people that do Ironman love merch. So
Oh,
there is also
yes.
merch from normally you can get British merch or there's merch at the events.
Yes.
That's always a plus point.
I saw when I was at the 70.3 World Championships, Iron Man pulled an absolute blinder where just after everybody finished their event, they announced the finishers kit is now available in the store. And the people who'd already spent hundreds on Iron Man merch, suddenly there was this finishers kit that had arrived, and then we went storming back towards the tent. I was like, oh, they've got it down to a T.
You can't beat a finisher's kit, can you? That says I finished an Ironman race or I finished the World Championships or
Yes.
got European Championship finisher. I've got
Yeah.
that t-shirt and I wear that. I do swagger a little bit in the office while I wear that.
Yeah. Even at British Triathlon, you still.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wear quite often wear my World Championship hoodie or my European
Yeah.
Championship hoodie. Just it's a badge of honor, isn't it?
Sometimes when I'm going out for long dog walks, I wear one of my Iron Man bags just so people coming up behind me know. Sometimes if it's a cyclist or a runner, they know.
Yeah, and that's great.
But I never go out with more than two pieces of Iron Man kit on at once. If we've got like an Iron Man hat and an Iron Man bag, too try hard. Dial it back a little bit, but just one bit.
Oh, do you not wear the full?
No,
Really?
I never no never go full Iron Man. That's my. I'm sure it looks great when you buy it in the shop, but I'd feel a little bit silly walking around the town centre in my
Yeah, I did. I don't. I remember buying an Outlaw hoodie once when I did the Outlaw half,
Mm.
which I flew up on after 5 miles on the bike, so that was a slog. But
Oh
I
dear.
absolutely loved the race. So I bought the hoodie, and the next day we went shopping. And there was this lady behind me. It says, "Look, she's an outlaw. What does that mean?" And then she got her phone out, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! She's probably going to do it next year."
Hopefully. But I think yeah, I think the British Triathlon age group kit is a bit more subtle than the Ironman branding in quite the same way. But it's a nice little incentive. Again, even if you're not racing in your British Triathlon tri-suit in 10 years' time, you'll always have that age group kit in your
Yeah,
closet as well. And
yeah.
and
I've still
all the
got my
photos and the memories that come with that.
Yes, absolutely. I've still got my kit from 2015.
There we go.
No, it's I still actually take it because you can still wear the kit. Doesn't almost having older, not tri-suit, but having an older tracksuit or t-shirt is like
Yeah.
a badge of honor. It's from 10 years ago.
It's
That's
like
what
when
we
people go
did.
to gigs and they wear the most like the oldest t-shirt they could
Yeah,
find from the band's debut tour just to show that they're a real fan.
yeah.
It's that, yes, I've been around the block. Okay, well, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on? Any other information that you think people should know? I'll stick your email down in the show notes. So if somebody's listening to this and they're feeling really inspired, but yet they still have some questions that we didn't cover, they can then ping you over an email and you should be able to help them out. But anything else you'd like to share with people here and now?
I think we've gone over quite a lot of stuff. Um, it the only thing I would say is it sounds like there's a lot to do admin wise,
Hmm.
but there's not. It's just knowing. It's just reading stuff. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a Saturday afternoon after your long bike ride, notepad, cup of tea.
Hmm.
some munchies and sitting and reading something, maybe on a laptop or a device with a big screen because it does work better that way. That's the only thing. But yeah, no, anyone who wants to know more or know how to qualify or be in the team, just give me a shout.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been really interesting. I mean, I've learned an awful lot. One of the reasons I got you on today is because it's something that, I mean, I've helped athletes qualify, but they come to me and they say, I want to get fast in Olympic distance, so I do just that. So I haven't got that same insight into the processes of it that other people do. So that's been really helpful for me. So
Great.
thank you ever so much.
It's been a pleasure.
That's all right. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you once again to Verity for coming onto the show to discuss with us. If you have any follow-up questions, all the information that you need is on the British Triathlon website. However, it's not the easiest to navigate in the world, so do feel free to just pop Verity an email. Her email address is down in the show notes. And if you feel that you'd like to have a crack at qualification, but you've just hit a bit of a plateau, you're not sure how to break through onto that next level that you need to qualify, why not drop me an email to see how I can help? My email is also in the show notes. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next week.